Let's also take a look at 1 and 2 point perspective. Now, with our display box, we used 1 point perspective because it gave us the best view. It's going to give us the best, most least distorted view of our header. So we won't have to put it in perspective because it's facing us squarely. But as you recall, how we built that was we made a vanishing point right in the middle, and we balanced the width on either side, made it equal on either side. And we had this a fair bit above the eye level, so that we can see the tops of our products down below, but not a lot. And we brought this down, as you remember, we brought this down to here. And then we used the vanishing point to bring it forward and to bring the tray forward. And our product is going to sit in there. So we had to stop it, so we stopped it here, and we came up to the height of our product, drew the product back, and we had another box. So sorry, this is about an arm's length away from me, so I'm not quite accurate, but that's what we did. Okay, and that was our display. Now we could have done this a couple of other ways too. We could have put our display over here. And if we want to start with where we place it, that we could have done that as well. So now I know I want to stop it here, so I just bring that over. And I use my vanishing point to take this front corner back to the vanishing point. And where it crosses tells me I need to go up and make my header. And my header stops here. And if I want to find the other side of the header, I just go like this to that vanishing point. So vanishing point gives you everything. So that gives me that. And that's how we could have done it this way. And if we did it this way, we'd have chosen it because we wanted to see the side of the header. So it might be that they're usually angled like this. You choose a height and you make it angled, and then you bring that across, and then you get the right angle on the other side. Now it might be that we had something really spectacular that's going on the side, and that would be the reason for doing it. And it would have worked because we can still face front. So if you need to do this, you're welcome to remake your template. It only takes a few minutes once you know how. And you could do that if there's something particular you want to see on the side. And the other thing about choosing this was we had then room to put a product outside. And how we got our product was to draw the corner first. We had a vanishing point right and a vanishing point left. This is our 1 point vanishing point. This you always only ever use it by itself. This one, the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point, you use them together, never alone. Just as long as you remember that, you'll be in good shape. And then we used this vanishing point to draw the bottom, this one to draw the top, this one to draw the top, and this one to draw the bottom on this side. And just chose a depth for it, or a width, and then chose something on the other side, completely arbitrary. But it won't be when you go to do your detailed line drawing. You'll know exactly what proportion after sketching your figure, after sketching your product this week, you'll know the proportions, whether mine was square, so we did a square, but yours is going to be slightly different, I'm sure. And use this vanishing point over here, this one over here. So now we could easily light all of these things. And how we would do that, I don't bother anymore doing the light up above. I just do the light where the light is hitting the surface that the things are sitting on. So if my light is there, and I want to light this product, find out its shadow, I just take this through the corners. Now, this line is the shadow for this part of the product. And this line, its shadow is there because I projected it from where the light source is hitting the floor. If I want this line, I have to guess how long I want my shadow to be. I can choose anything, but you don't want it to be shadow heavy. Now, I drew this line by using that right vanishing point. So when I draw this line here, I have to do the same thing because it's a shadow for that line. So I just do it the same way. I think I'm off a little bit, but I don't want to get my head in the way, my big fat head. So this now, I go through that corner, and then I need to stop it. So this is the shadow for that hidden line that I didn't put in, that one. Okay, so just a reminder, this is the shadow for that line, this is the shadow for that line, and this is the shadow for the hidden line. And now where this met, that projection, tells me that I need to turn around and go the other way. So I use this vanishing point because that's how I drew that line. And if this is this line was the one that was missing, and now it's not. Now, I see that these lines line up. My dot and my corner line up, so I don't have a shadow there. So that's the end of my shadow. Right there. And what it's telling me is that this part of the box, this side of the box is in shadow too. And if I were to do it on my display, I would go from here through here and through the hidden part. And I would decide how tall to make my product, where I want that to end. And then I would use this vanishing point, because the line I'm missing, if this is the shadow for that line, I need that line now, because this shadow is going back in space. So I use this point, and it will give me the shape over there. So that's my shadow for my display. But this keeps on going, doesn't it? That keeps on going. And now I have to do it on this corner, this hidden corner. And that keeps on going. Now I need to stop the top of it. Now I have to guess if that's that corner right there, because this is this line, this is this line. If that's the corner I'm looking for and it's here, this keeps on going. So I have to decide where I want to stop that. Then I have to draw this, and that's just a straight line. That's easy. It's not turned away from me, so it's making my job easier. And that's the shadow that we would put here for that. So the shadow for my box. Now we're not seeing the shadow side of this display though. We're just seeing the shadow that it casts. We're not seeing a shadow side the way we did here. I think that's why people tend to like the 2-point perspective more than the 1-point perspective, because it shows you what something looks like all the way around a little more easily, and the shadows are more descriptive as well. So that's an odd looking, but it's an accurate shadow. And this one, we wouldn't see much shadow here, would we? Because it's, first of all, hidden by everything else we've drawn, but it would have a shadow over here. So you would just simplify that. It ends like that. We'd just bring that over, because that gave us enough information. And you would put a little shadow in here. But what it does have, it has a shadow side. And you wouldn't have to actually make it dark and dark and dismal as a shadow. You could just use it as an excuse to use darker color, richer color, to add contrast from the front, which is in the light, and the side, which is in shadow. Now, we didn't show this because our product was as tall, was this tall, and it hid the oblique sides. It hid those sides. Now see how I'm using my vanishing point. See, our product was taller than this angle, so we didn't show it, not in our view. We could also have drawn our display in 2-point perspective as well. So let's give that a try. We'll draw our eye level up maybe a third of the way down from the page. Now, I can't really reach this. I'm hoping it should be straight, but I can't really reach. And as you know, we put our vanishing point left and our right vanishing point. And we start with the corner. Instead of starting with the corner that's closest to us, let's start with the corner at the back. As before, we're putting the back a little above and then more below the eye level so we can see the whole box. Let's use our, maybe a little lower, let's see. Let's use our right vanishing point. We're drawing the header. Begin with the header. And then we'll cut it off because it made kind of a rectangle, didn't it? It's a tall rectangle. We're going to modify this though when we draw yours. And then we're going to do the tray. And the tray, just like the other time, we have to bring it forward into space. And you start from these corners and use your vanishing point. And we have to decide how long to make it. Now, I should be making phantom lines and not pressing until it was time to find something I liked, that I had found something that I liked. Okay, that's as simple as that. And then you draw up your little bit, and then you decide where you want to place your angle. Now with 2-point, you haven't, if you decide on 2-point, you have no other choice but to show the side, because we're looking at things with the corner closest to us. But as we saw before, it sometimes is a better description of how something looks all the way around. Now, if you can turn your paper, turn it to get the best angle. Sometimes people, depending on their handedness, like better to pull the lines toward them. Some like to push the line away. Now, see, what would happen, though, is that we would have to put all of this lettering, all of our logos, everything would have to go in perspective, and it wouldn't be facing us any longer. But since the header is the most important part of what we're drawing, rather than the tray, we chose to go the other way. And then your product, you see, would sit inside. You decide how tall you want to make it. this can also be very dynamic as well. That's the other reason. Now see, I should have done this, shouldn't I? I should have done this from the point and then see, because this should cover that. So I made a mistake there. Because it's going to cover the angle. They usually do cover the angle. And when I join these two up, they'll make a box. So that's the product. And that's the portion here. Now, to shadow this, and in this case, what we would have done is chosen a vanishing point in the center and drawn our product out here, but in 1 point perspective. So we would have started with a box without any perspective and drawn it back to our vanishing point. And I put it in a bad spot because I'm not going to be able to see the side. So I'll shuffle it over. Maybe over here would be better. This is the height of one of our product about the center of the display. So if I were to bring this out, if I were to bring it out to here, that's how big the product would be this far away from the box. See, this distance represents how far away my product is from the display. This line represents the height of the product at this point on the display, in the middle of the display. And if I bring that proportion forward with the left vanishing point, I'll have the right size. So now I can make this the size the dimensions, because we've done our product sketch, so we know what proportions, how wide it is in comparison to how tall. We're going to use 1 point. So remember, this is your 1 point vanishing point. And these two, you never use them apart. You always use them together. This one, you only use it alone. You can't use it. We abandon this because we can't see the side. So we're going to use our single vanishing point to draw this. And there would be our product sitting free of the display and sitting out here. To shadow this, I think our best bet would be to come over from this side of the display. So you can start another way. You don't have to start the way we did normally. But supposing I do want a shadow and I want that angle for the shadow, I can just do that and put a point here and decide that's what I want. You can also give yourself the point at the top. We go from where the light source, the beam, the central beam hits the surface that the object is sitting on. You can go from there through there. And then if you really want to know if the light source is only this far away, I can go from there through that corner, and that will give me the actual length of the shadow. It will be consistent. And if I go from here through there, that corner, all I have to do is use this point through there, and that will tell me where this joining of lines occurs on this line, because this is the shadow for that line. This is the shadow for that line, and I need this line. It's missing. So I need to know where this will attach over here. So you just use this and go through do your phantom lines till you have the muscle memory to get this right. There. So I've got this, And I just join those up now. And the product line is straight. Even though our tray is at an angle, our product line is straight. I do have this whole thing to make a shadow for, so I just have to bring this back, and it kind of goes in a line like this. Can never predict how these are going to look. They always surprise me. So here we go. Now we've got this line, which is the shadow for that. This line, which is the shadow for that. We need this line. So if I take this through here, it's never going to end. It's never going to end. So instead of that, what I would do is choose something reasonable and use my vanishing point. See, I drew this using the right vanishing point. So when I represent it as my shadow, I have to do that too. So I'll just use this and we'll cut it off there. That's plenty big enough for shadow, I think. That's huge. So our shadow would be here. Now, your sketch is going to be different from mine, so which is good. So, because then you'll need to adapt, but you'll follow the same directions and just have different results. So do whatever yours gives you. If your box is really completely different than mine, your display, where you placed it happened to get a little bit different, that's good. Don't worry about that. That's actually something good, because then you'll have to struggle a little bit. None of this should be easy. It should be something you have to struggle to think about, and otherwise you never get to own it. You're just copying. So you want to own this information, so when you're in a meeting, you can do yourself proud. Okay, now let's do this one. So we've got the same dealie. We just start on the bottom where it's touching the surface. You always need to have these hidden bits. Don't forget to use your vanishing point to complete them. There's my hidden bit. This is my outside line. And there, and there, and do all four corners. I've got something going out there. And this was drawn with that vanishing point, so you know now that you've got to use that. But I can go from my actual light source through my corner, and it hits here. If I follow that line, this is the corner I engaged, and here, that's that. Now, I could go through the process again, but I don't need to. This is 1 point perspective, so I know I just have to use the vanishing point, because that's how I drew that line, and I'm looking for the shadow for that line. This is the shadow for that line. This is the shadow for that line. Now, I need the shadow for that line, and I know it's straight across, so I just do it straight across. Now, ultimately, you look at it and you say to yourself, does that look right? And if it does, if it looks like the object that's cast it, then that's the best way to judge whether it is correct or not. So this side is in shadow, and this side is in shadow because it's attached to the shadow. All these shadows give everything so much dimension. We've used up our 4 squares, so turn your paper over and find a fresh section. This time let's put our eye level up very high. Sorry if that's not straight. This is really far away from me, so it should be straight. That's what you're trying to do. So there's that. And we're going to put the whole display below eye level. Maybe bring it over this way a whole lot more. And when we design our header, draw our header, we'll put it here. Oops. Now, when you were doing this in a meeting, you would be going really fast. But I'm trying not to be a bad example, and I'm trying to do my lines right. But this is normally done very, very quickly, as you know. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to hit that point, but I'm having trouble with my big fat head. Okay, so there's, maybe let's go a little higher, because we want to have enough display showing. And maybe stop it right there, so it's a straight line. See how on the eye level, you get a straight line. Now we'll figure out how far to bring our tray out. We'll bring it out, say, this far. And now you'll see it's so dynamic. It's really coming forward. That's because two things. Our vanishing points are very close together because we've made this bigger. And we're way below eye level. So we're tipping. We're out of the cone of vision. There's a cone of vision. And if you step outside of it, then you risk this distortion. But you may like it. If yours is about something that's really powerful and dynamic and modern and new, this would be the way to display it. Tipping it forward like this. There, that's our tray. And we bring the product up. Remember, the product is as tall as this, so you have to bring the product forward. Use your whole arm. I forgot to say long ago, but you should be using your whole arm. Find a comfortable way to work. Turn your paper upside down, sideways, whatever you need to do, so that you can reach and have the best chance to make your lines big and straight and angled the right way. So that's how our display would look had we gone for something like this that's more dynamic. In fact, we could probably, since our display is looking quite small now, we could put it up a little higher. It mostly features the product, though, I think. It doesn't really feature our header. So, in all, I think we've chosen the best way to display our idea. Our concept is about the header. So, if we compare this to the other ways, I don't think it would give us the opportunity to view it the way that this one does. We get to see it all incomplete. This is a runner-up, so if you prefer, you can do this, but I think it makes the side important too. So if your side is important in your display, then you may choose to rethink it. But this I think gives us the best chance to view both the product and our header. And remember, our header is going to be a die cut, so that will help as well to make it more outstanding. Now, the reason we do all of this and we study the geometric shapes and we think about shadow and shading is because it makes your work more believable. So, for example, remember, we're working with our silhouettes. So, say you want to draw a face. So you've got hair and a neck and a shoulder, and you want to come back up and put and there, and there, and another arm, and up, and more hair, and there. So that took 2 minutes. Or not even, maybe. I don't know. And now, eyes are halfway in the head. So if you want to put eyes on, you do that. If you want to put a nose, sometimes a nose is easier to get on there to judge where things are going to go. And you want to put a bit of a chin. And put the hair. The more hair you put on people, the better they look. So that's kind of an easy way to go. But the reason we do all this is to make everything a little more believable and quick, very quick. So now I've got somebody, and all I'd have to do now is maybe put the bottom of her ears and her neck, and there she is. And if I were to shade her now, I could just put a little bit of shadow down the side of her face. Not that you do this really, but to give it a little bit of form, and there'd be a shadow on her hair. So even something organic, you can use these techniques just to make them a little more believable. And maybe her. And if you make a mistake, you just fix it up by adding more. A little bit more. That's it. So easy. And these techniques make it easy because every little bit you're adding is making it more believable. So keep watching silhouettes. Perfect your silhouette ability, and it'll make things a lot easier for you. So, and don't worry about it too much. So, because you know all this stuff, like you know what a person looks like. So they have arms, and they have legs, and they have feet, and they have more arms, and they have shoulders and necks and heads with hair on them. And sometimes they have their hands in their pockets. And sometimes they kind of slump a little over to the side. And that's it. If you were in a meeting and you were all talking and you got this guy down on paper and said what he was doing or why he was important in your concept, then that would be believable. You just sort of put him in there and he's fine. He's doing his job. And if you want to give him some shadow, you can shadow down one side of him. And this is better when you're using a darker pen. It looks much better. And there's a tendency to want to press, but you don't have to press. You can just, and that's it. And he's standing beside someone else. Maybe it's a girl, so she's got more curvy things. Maybe they're holding arms together. Oh, she's got funny hair. That's okay. You just keep going, because it doesn't matter about her hair. They've got the same top on. She's got her hands in her pockets too. How nice. That makes life easier. And the more you think about things in terms of silhouettes, it makes it a little easier to be getting on with what you need to do. And I think it's easier too if you carry your pencil crayon around with you, so you can shade with your pencil crayon. So we don't always think about things in terms of line. And also it makes it more relatable to what we'll be doing with our markers. So just same idea. Down one side's in shadow, one side's in light. And you just go with that. And there's shadow behind. We know that now. There's a little shadow behind. That keeps them from... Now there is a little bit of halftone on the other side, but in a quick sketch you don't really worry about that so much. But that helps them to stand out a little more. She looks like she has a beard, so this would be better than giving her a beard, maybe. I'm sure she'd have something to say about that. And to make her face stand out. So try to always have a reason for what you're doing and why you're doing it.